What's up, family? Welcome to episode 5 of the B3 podcast, where B3 stands for Blood Bought Believer. Today, I will just be reading 3 to 4 chapters out of Job. It is essentially on God speaking to Job. What had happened to Job was that God was bragging on Job that he would always and forever praise and give him praise. And so God allowed Satan to touch his life, not to kill him, but something that he could show proof that he would just always and continually praise God for who he is. What most of us do, as Job did, is that we will go through something and we will start to question God and think we can do God's job better than he can. And so I'll just be reading God's response to Job. And so I will be starting in chapter 38 as it states, and I'll be reading the AMP version. I do want to give you the study notes portion, but I think the AMP version will break it down good enough for you to digest it. So start again, chapter 38, verse 1. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, "Who is this that darkens counsel, questioning my authority and wisdom by words without knowledge? Now gird up your loins like a man, and I will ask you, and you instruct me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me, if you know and have understanding, who determined the measurements of the earth, if you know? Or who stretched the measuring line on it? On what were its foundations fastened? Or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God, angels, shouted for joy? Or who enclosed the sea with doors when it burst forth and went out of the womb?" Speaking of, the first wiping away of the earth, which was the flood. When I made the clouds its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling band, and marked for it my appointed boundary, and set bars and doors defining the shoreline, and said, "This far you shall come, but no farther, and here your proud waves shall stop." Since your days began, have you ever commanded the morning and caused the dawn to know its place, so that the light may take hold of the corners of the earth and shake the wickedness out of it? The earth is changed like clay into which a seal is pressed, and the things of the earth stand out like a multicolored garment. Their light is withheld from the wicked, and the uplifted arm is broken. Have you entered and explored the springs of the sea? Or have you walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Or have you seen the gates of deep darkness? Have you understood the expanse of the earth? Tell me if you know all this. Where is the way where light dwells? And as for darkness, where is its place? That you may take it to its territory, and that you may know the paths to its house. You must know, since you were born then, and because you are so extremely old. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow? Or have you seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have reserved for the time of trouble, for the day of battle and war? Where is the way that the light is distributed, or the east wind scattered over the earth? Who has prepared a channel for the torrents of rain and for the flood, or a path for the thunderbolt, to bring rain on the uninhabitable land and on the desert where no man lives, to satisfy the barren and desolate ground, and to make the seeds of grass to sprout? Has the rain a father? Or who has begotten the drops of dew, out of whose womb has come the ice, and the frost of heaven, who has given it birth? Water becomes like stone and hides itself, and the surface of the deep is frozen and imprisoned. Can you bind the chains of the cluster of stars called Pleiades, or loose the cords of the constellation Orion? Can you lead forth a constellation in its season, and guide the stars of the bear with her sons? Do you know the ordinances of heaven, or can you establish their rule over the earth? Can you lift up your voice to the clouds, so that an abundance of water will cover you? Can you send forth lightning that they may go and say to you, "Here we are"? Who has put wisdom in the innermost being of man, or in the layers of clouds, or given understanding to the mind of man, or to the heavenly display? Who can count the clouds by earthly wisdom, or pour out the water of jars of heaven? When the dust hardened into a mass, and the clouds stick together because of the heat, can you, Job, hunt the prey for the lion, or satisfy the appetite of the young lions when they crouch in their dens and lie in wait in their lair? Who provides prey for the raven when its young cry to God and wander about without food? Do you know the time when the wild goats of the rock give birth to their young? Do you observe the calving of the deer? Can you count the months that they carry offspring? Or do you know the time when they give birth? They kneel down, they bring forth their young, they cast out their labor pains, their young ones become strong, they grow up in the open field, they leave and do not return to them. Who sent out the wild donkey free from dependence on man? And who has loosed the bonds of the wild donkey to survive in the wild? To whom I gave the wilderness as his home, and the salt land as his dwelling place. He scorns the tumult of the city, and does not hear the shouting of the taskmaster. He explores the mountains as his pasture, and searches after every green thing. Will the wild ox be willing to serve you, or remain beside the manger at night? Can you bind the wild ox with a harness to the plow in the furrow? Or will he plow the valleys for you? Will you trust him because his strength is great, and leave your labor to him? Will you have faith and depend on him to return your grain and gather it for your threshing floor? The flightless wings of the ostrich wave joyously, with the pinion, shackles, fetters, and plumage of love. For she leaves her eggs on the ground and warms them in the dust, forgetting that a foot may crush them, or that a wild beast may trample them. She treats her young cruelly, as if they were not hers, though her labor is in vain because she is unconcerned for the safety of her brood. For God has made her forget wisdom, and has not given her a share of understanding. Yet when she lifts herself on high, so swift is that she laughs at the horse and his rider. Have you given the horse his might? Have you clothed his neck with quivering and a shaking mane? Have you, Job, made him leap like a locust? The majesty of his snorting nostrils is terrible. He paws in the valley and rejoices in his strength. He goes out to meet the weapons of armed men. He laughs at fear and is not dismayed, and in battle he does not turn back from the sword. The quiver rattles against him, as do the flashing spear and the lance of his rider. With fierceness and rage he races to devour the ground, and he does not stand still at the sound of the war trumpet. As often as the trumpet sounds, he says, "Aha!" and he smells the battle from far away, and senses the thunder of the captains and the war cry. Is it by your understanding that the hawk soars, stretching his wings toward the south as winter approaches? Is it at your command that the eagle mounts up and makes his nest on high in an inaccessible place? On the cliff he dwells and remains securely. Upon the point of the rock in the inaccessible stronghold, from there he spies out the prey. His eyes see it from far away. His young ones suck up blood, and where the slain are, there he is. Then the Lord said to Job, will the fault finder contend with the Almighty? Let him who disputes with God answer it. Then Job replied to the Lord and said, behold, I am of little importance and contemptible. What can I reply to you? I lay my hand on my mouth. I have spoken once, but I will not reply again. Indeed, twice I have answered, and I will add nothing further. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind, saying, now gird up your loins, prepare yourself like a man, and I will ask you, and you instruct me. Will you really annul my judgment and set aside as void? Will you condemn me, your God, that you may appear to be righteous and justified? Have you an arm like God? Can you thunder with a voice like his? Adorn yourself with eminence and dignity, since you question the Almighty, and array yourself with honor and majesty. Pour out the overflowing of your wrath, and look at everyone who is proud and make him low. Look at everyone who is proud and humble him. And if you are so able, tread down the wicked where they stand, crush and hide them in the dust together. Shout them up in the hidden place, the house of death. If you can do all this, Job, proving your divine power, then I, God, will also praise you and acknowledge that your own right hand can save you. Behold now Behemoth, which I created as well as you. He eats grass like an ox. See now his strength is in his loins, and his power is in the muscles and sinews of his belly. He sways his tail like a cedar. The tendons of his thighs are twisted and knitted together like a rope. His bones are tubes of bronze. His limbs are like bars of iron. He is the first in magnitude and power of the works of God. Only he who made him can bring him his sword to master him. Surely the mountains bring food, and all the wild animals play there. He lies down under the lotus plants in the hidden shelter of the reeds in the marsh. The lotus plants cover him with their shade. The willows of the brook surround him. If a river rages and overflows, he does not tremble. He is confident, though the Jordan River swells and rushes against his mouth. Can anyone capture him when he is on watch, or pierce his nose with barbs to trap him? Can you draw out Leviathan with a fishhook, or press down his tongue with a cord? Can you put a rope made of rushes into his nose, or pierce his jaw through a hook? Will he make many supplications to you, begging to be spared? Or will he speak soft words to you to coax you to treat him kindly? Will he make a covenant or arrangement with you? Will you take him for your servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird, or will you bind him and put him on a leash for your maidens? Will traders bargain over him? Will they divide him up again amongst the merchants? Can you fill his skin with harpoons, or his head with fishing spears? Lay your hand on him. Remember the battle with him. You will not do such an ill-advised thing again. Behold, his assailants' hope and expectation of defeating Leviathan is false. Will not one be overwhelmed even at the sight of him? No one is so fierce and foolhardy that he dares to stir up Leviathan. Who then is he who can stand before me, or dares to contend with me, the beast's creator? Who has first given to me that I should repay him? Whatever is under the whole earth is mine. Who can have claim against me who made the unmastered beast? I will not keep silence concerning his limbs, nor his mighty strength, nor his orderly frame. Who can penetrate or strip off his outer armor? Who can come to his jaws with a double bridle? Who can open the door's jaws of his face? Around his open jaws and teeth there is terror. His strong scales are pride, bound together as with a tight seal. One is near to another, and no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together and cannot be separated. His sneezes flash forth light, and his eyes are like the reddish eyelids of the dawn. Out of his mouth go burning torches, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils smoke go forth as from a boiling pot, and as from burning rushes. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goes forth from his mouth. In Leviathan's neck resides strength, and dismay and terror dance before him. The folds of his flesh are joined together, firm on him and immobile when he moves. His heart is as hard as a stone, indeed as solid as a lower millstone. When he raises himself up, the mighty are afraid because of the crashing they are bewildered. The sword that reaches him cannot avail, nor does the spear, the dart, or the javelin. He considers iron as straw, bronze as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make flee. Sling stones are treated as stubble by him. Clubs also regarded as stubble. He laughs at the rushing and the rattling of the javelin. His underparts are like sharp pieces of broken pottery. He moves across and spreads out grooves like a threshing sledge on the mere muddy river banks. He makes the deep water boil like a pot. He makes sea like a foaming pot of ointment. Behind him he makes a shining wake. One would think the deep to be gray-haired with foam. Upon earth there is nothing like him. No equal exists, a creature made without fear. He looks on everything that is high without terror. He is monarch over all the sons of pride. And now, Job, who are you who does not dare to disturb the beast? Yet who dares resist me, the beast's creator? Everything under the heaven is mine. Therefore, who can have and claim against God? And I'm not going to hold you. I believe, or I think Leviathan is Satan, as it states in Revelation chapter 13. Either one of these beasts is Leviathan. It says in Revelation chapter 13, verse 1, and the dragon, Satan, stood on the sandy shore of the sea. Then I saw a vicious beast coming up out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, and on his horns were 10 royal crowns, diadems, and on his heads were blasphemous names. And the beast that I saw resembled a leopard, but his feet were like those of a bear, and his mouth was like that of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his throne a great authority. I saw one of his heads, which seemed to have a fatal wound, but his fatal wound was healed, and the entire earth followed after the beast in amazement. They fell down and worshipped the dragon because he gave his authority to the beast. They also worshipped the beast, saying, who is like as great as the beast, and who is able to wage war against him? And the beast was given a mouth, the power of speech, uttering great things in arrogant and blasphemous words. And he was given freedom and authority to act and to do as he pleased for 42 months, which is 3.5 years. And he opened his mouth to speak blasphemies, abusive speech, slander against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and those who live in heaven. He was also permitted to wage war against the saints, God's people, and to overcome them in authority and power over every tribe and people and language and nation. All the inhabitants of the earth will fall down and worship him, everyone whose name has been written since the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who has been slain, as a willing sacrifice. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. If anyone is destined for captivity, he will go into captivity. If anyone kills us with a sword, he must be killed with a sword. Here is the call for the patient endurance and the faithfulness of the saints, which is seen in the response of God's people to difficult times. Now, the beast of the earth. Then I saw another beast rising up out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke like a dragon. He exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence when the 2 are together. And he makes the earth and those who inhabit it worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. He performs great signs, awe-inspiring acts, even making fire fall from the sky to the earth right before people's eyes. And he deceived those unconverted ones who inhabit the earth into believing in him, because of the signs which he has given by Satan to perform in the presence of the first beast, telling those who inhabit the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded fatally by the sword and has come back to life. And he is given power to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast will appear to speak and cause those who do not bow down and worship the image of the beast to be put to death. Also, he compels all the small and great, and the rich and the poor, and the free men and the slaves, to be given a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, signifying allegiance to the beast, and that no one will be able to buy or sell except the one who has the mark, either the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let the person who has enough insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the imperfect number of a man, and his number is 666. I found it. We have our answer. It says in Isaiah chapter 27, verse 1, in that day the Lord will punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, with his fierce and great and mighty sword, rescuing Israel from her enemy, even Leviathan, the twisted serpent, and he will kill the dragon who lives in the sea. So Leviathan is Satan. But ultimately, family, this was just a message letting you know that we all question God in some type of form, fashion, and this was his message to you, telling you who he is, the creator of all things, and why you should not question what he has for you. Even though he gives us grace and mercy as he gave Job, stop questioning the things that he has. As it states in Job, in the first few chapters, God was bragging on him. God could be bragging on you too. Stop questioning everything and just give God praise in all situations, circumstances, trials and tribulations. I too can heed this message because I too be questioning. For certain things, I don't overboard it because I know who God is. I know that He's done a lot for me. I know that He keeps me safe. I know that He is my protector, my provider. So I don't question Him or say that I could do His job better than He can, because I can't. I can't even manage some of my emotions that I can't seem to express. I hope you take this message. I hope you take God's words serious. And I pray that His words to you, I, and Job help you with your questioning, with your decision making, with your life. Know that He is. And I thank you for tuning in to episode 5 of the B3 podcast on God's response.